This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Friday. It's a week until Christmas. And tonight, I have a very special guest joining me. To me, it's one of the greatest Christmas presents anybody could ever provide me. A real-life MAGA Trump supporter, talk show host, found out in the wild. He and I were taking shots at each other on the parlor. And I was able to book him on the show tonight. Please welcome Freddie Freshcastle. I don't even know. Do it again. That's the opening for your show, isn't it?
What up, clowns, haters, trolls? Although perhaps this time mostly bitches and bozos.
See,
the musicians.
What's the name of your show again?
My show is the Left to Right Free Speech Music and Comedy Show.
See, that's what I'm intrigued that you. I'm intrigued that you do singing. It's like a variety show.
Indeed, well, you know, music is very closely related to culture, and I have a music background. That's definitely a passion of mine. That's definitely where my production love started. So it's always good to incorporate the things you love in the work you do, such as the music and the comedy and the radical right-wing politics.
So you would describe yourself as a radical right-winger, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't describe myself as anything. See, I don't necessarily prescribe to any ideology necessarily. I prefer to just talk about individual issues. And I feel like on that level, I can pretty much relate to any human being on this planet, especially one-on-one. But, you know, you get people in groups, you know, you get people divided into sects that hate each other. You know, shit gets complicated. You know, it's hard to really relate. So I try not to identify as any ideology, although right now, currently, I do find myself simpatico with a lot of the grievances on the right.
The alt-right, as they're commonly referred to.
More so the alt-right. I come from the small L libertarian wing, so I was a voluntarist for a while. You know, did the NAP, but then I was just like, why am I extending the non-aggression principle to people that don't reciprocate to me? Because I'm just getting myself murdered all the time. So I started fighting back, and this is kind of how it manifested.
Well, see, I would argue that's capitalism. That capitalism incentivizes people to stab each other in the back.
Well, it definitely does, yeah. But that's nature. You know, I think it's human nature is just.
I don't know. Capitalism is not human nature.
You don't think capitalism goes with the flow of human nature? Isn't that one of the arguments for capitalism? It kind of just goes with the flow of human greed.
Not at all. But before we actually get back into like policy, and stuff,
right. We're gonna get deep into economic theory here. Yeah. That's good.
No. I want to know more about your show. I want to talk more about why.
So I think it's kind of like not a left versus right thing for me, because I call it the Left to Right Free Speech Music and Comedy Show. But to me, again, most of the divide today happens to be nationalist populism versus international globalism or socialism. And that seems to be kind of more the divide, and where you kind of fall on that. You know, a couple of issues really determines what side necessarily you are, left or right, which is why like so many people on both sides are relatively reasonable.
Okay, so I'm fascinated by this because I can already tell that you're far more well-spoken than you come across in your videos, at least the ones that we've watched.
Well,
so
okay, slight dig. You know,
I wouldn't call it a dig. It's an actual. It's an observation.
I'll
you're
take the compliment. Well, then in that case, flattery will get you everywhere. I'll get you everywhere, sir. I reward you points, sir, for your flattery.
Well, what does that say about your target audience for your show, then?
Well, I don't know if I have a target audience. I think I'm just trying to have fun and make fun of the establishment and clown on the establishment the best I can. And right now, to me, the left represents more the establishment right now because they're so aligned with big tech and like the Amazons of the world owning the Washington Post and all this stuff. And it's the corporate fascism that I'm really afraid of. And I think my roots were on the left, and that's where that's where I kind of come from. And I see this kind of these tech powers having more power than any humans have in history, than collectives have in individual billionaires and things like that. And I feel like that's a pretty significant threat, since I'm very passionate about two issues specifically. One is free speech, free expression as an artist and a musician. I feel like, I grew up with George Carlin and, those types where we're just pushing the lines. And that's kind of where my comedy comes from. I'm just going to push that line and find out where that line is. So I'm just going to tiptoe over that line because that's a fun place to be. But, so I do love free speech and free expression, but then I'm also like very anti-war, very anti-interventionism going over into the Middle East and those stupid wars and wasting trillions of dollars that could be better spent on social programs probably, or anything else, just giving them to the people that we stole it from in the first place.
But anyway, I think you and I have a lot in common, but here's the thing, it's like...
I think I do with a lot of people, yeah.
You seem to be painting an Amazon or a Twitter as left, when any big corporation is like, by default of being a big corporation, is not on the left.
Right. Well, and that's a crazy divide of like the Trump populism versus the neoconservative establishment republicanism that we're so used to, that is all about the wars and the big business and corporations. Like it was kind of more just it was more like a Bernie Sanders movement that just came from people that were just oppressed and just feeling disadvantaged or disenfranchised for some reason. And I think there's a lot of good moral...
Well, it's not for some reason. It's capitalism.
But what's that? But what is capitalism? To me, capitalism is just voluntary exchange between mutually consenting parties. Like
no.
Property rights.
Capitalism is like who owns the means of production. Capitalism means who has the wealth, has the power.
Well, I mean that's one way to define it, but that's not how I define it in Austrian theory.
So I think the end result of capitalism is always that the money funnels up away from the workers. Isn't that
what happens with socialism too? You get centralized power and control systems to control everything. I mean, to me, like, what's the difference between that?
Well, hopefully not in a democratic socialism. But I mean, the first thing that we need to establish with that is that we're mixed economies. No government is full on capitalism, full on socialism. I think we could both agree that the two extremes are really bad, and that we need to define where we're at somewhere in the middle.
Well, I think the two extremes are one and the same. I think those are the exact same thing, and it's fascism. It just depends, do you want the right with the boot or do you want the left with the boot? It's like, I don't want either of those things. I kind of want the middle, where his power is spread to as many people as possible. We need to spread the wealth to as many people as possible, and that way freedom can actually happen. And
you're talking like a leftist. Welcome, Comrade Freshcastle.
I've been here the whole time. That's the thing. It's you that kicked me out as soon as I started being consistent about anti-war during the Obama years. When I made that mistake, voted for that guy.
Well, see, so I voted for him the first time. I didn't vote for him the second time. But
right,
I don't.
For John Kerry. I've read John Kerry's entire policy book, which was dry. It was dry.
I bet.
I would not recommend that read.
Well, I mean, you're talking about neoliberals that are still in the same vein of the Clintonites, the third way kind of Democrats.
Right.
And that's who I am diametrically opposed to.
Right, and that's why I think we have more alignment than we might have opposed. And that's why I think like the whole two-party structure is to keep us opposed to each other. Because you can have reasonable thinking people on both sides, depending on a couple issues where they come down, they get wedged to one side or the other.
Well, you say reasonable thinking people, but you're wearing clown hair and a clown hat, man.
Well, that's because we're living in a clown world with all these corporations. We're living in a clown world. It's a clown world.
But do you think that Trump was a rational?
I think that Trump slowed the radicalization of the right. I think that was important. And I think that, unfortunately, what we've taught the right through this election is that violence wins elections.
That's a lot to unpack here. First of all,
it's a lot to unpack. I know. All right, tell me how I'm wrong, please. I don't know. I try not to believe everything I think, but I just sometimes have a stream of consciousness.
Slowed the radicalization of the right, but I mean...
Right, yeah.
They're in the streets crying right now because they can't accept the results of the election. They've abandoned Fox News because Fox News isn't telling them exactly what they want to hear. So they've gone further into these echo chambers.
Well, but Fox News has always been the corporate establishment, and like the people that that is a revolt against that. And if we can seize control of the Republican Party, why should we give up control of the Republican Party back to the corporatists? You know, we're trying to just control this. That's to me, it's like if we can keep the Republican Party under control, we can stop the foreign wars, and that's kind of what happened under Trump. Just like, you know,
no, he escalated.
Do you think it escalated? I think he tried
a lot
to
of
things. Afghanistan, and his people didn't do what he asked. He kept us out of Syria. It seems like he didn't do a Libya and start a new slave trade like Obama. He didn't, do an Iraq or an Afghanistan, or he's at least signaling the right things, saying the right things. But I don't want to.
I wouldn't say that at all.
In my mind, like Trump is Hitler, but like the Democrat Republican establishment is super Hitler. And I've got Jewish roots, so I'm just like, I see these people banning people from commerce because of their opinions. It's just like it just reeks of the same fascism that people have been dealing with for many years.
Well, what do you mean when you say banning people from commerce because of their opinions? You're gonna have to give me
like Laura Loomer, who ran for Florida. She's a Jewish person, and she's been banned from having an Uber and a PayPal and a Venmo, and she kicked off all these platforms. People are just kicked off all these platforms, which are basically.
Man, I'm not allowed on Twitter because I violated their rules.
Oh, me too. I'm kicked off too. I've been kicked off hundreds of times. In fact, I've been doing a research project on just where the line was exactly, and I've had hundreds of accounts. I've gotten so many Google Voice. Also, I came up with a scheme. If you look at some of my older episodes, I have a scheme where I explain how to get around the Twitter censorship and get as many accounts as you possibly could. But eventually, now I have to go to fucking Verizon and get a new. Sorry if the language is a thing.
No, you drop F-bombs all you want to,
fucking
please.
Verizon and change my phone number now to get 3 new Google Voice numbers so I can get new Twitter accounts so I can go punk on fucking some of these clowns that are in power. I just want to punk on Nancy Pelosi from time to time. It's a guilty pleasure.
Well, yeah, Nancy Pelosi is the worst. But I mean,
and I don't know if you've seen heard my song Jerry Nadler. It's a piece of shit. You need to sit down. You need to quit.
No, please, will you indulge us?
Right. Oh, I don't have actually, I might have a guitar, but I don't know if I can pull that off just now. But
what all do you play?
The Urkel slack. Well, what's between his ears is just too whack. Why is he presiding over the House Judiciary Committee? Jerry Nadler is a piece of shit. Boom.
The Democrats have this shit seniority over committee chairmanships, and that's one of the reasons why that's one of the reforms that the Progressive Caucus is pushing for.
Well, and that's the thing, is like some of the wackiest people try to make a lot of the progressive ideas. I'm at least in line with more of their diagnosis. I think Bernie Sanders was like a fraudster that just like funneled money to the DNC through people that wouldn't vote to give money to Joe Biden. To give money to Joe Biden directly, he just was like, yeah, but he wasn't actually trying to win. I don't think he actually wanted to win. I think he just wanted to take people's money. It was a grift. So I'm a little bummed, but he did have the right prescription. I just don't, or not the right prescription.
No. So in 2016, Bernie didn't think he could win. He was running strictly a protest campaign.
Right. Well,
and then,
is that the case? Because it looked to me like they blatantly cheated. They had all the proof in the world that they cheated, and they rigged Bernie from being able to win. And then he just bent knee to the corporate establishment for whatever reason.
That's not the way I see it at all. So
how did you see it going down?
So Bernie didn't think he could win. He was running a protest campaign. He almost ran a protest campaign in 2012 against Obama. He pushed people to run against Obama in 2012 in a primary in order to keep the Democratic Party strong. So when he came up on January and was like, oh shit, I might be able to win this. And by the time he started trying to have the structure to win, it was kind of too late with the superdelegate bullshit. He got the rules changed on the superdelegates though for 2020.
Right.
I mean, I do think they totally, through party machinations, they absolutely screwed him out of the nomination.
In what year? I mean, I think they did it in 2016.
Both years.
Like, how many times do you have to keep falling for that? It's like, ooh.
Well, it's not about falling for that.
That's why I'm so shocked that Trump got in. Like, how did Trump even get in? That's what amazes me. Like, how did that even
Still
happen?
blows my mind. And the thing that the Trump administration proved to me is that the executive branch is far too powerful.
You think so?
Absolutely. And that is something that you as a conservative and I should be able to agree on.
But like,
Then
name one person that Trump SWAT teamed. You know, like I can't name a single person. You know, they SWAT teamed Roger Stone at 4 in the morning with CNN waiting out there with the cameras. It's like, where's Trump's SWAT team? Like, where's it if he's such a fascist dictator? Like, I haven't seen him do one thing that doesn't seem constitutional to me. So it's like, when there's all this moral panic hysteria over Orange Man bad Hitler, got to get him out of here. I'm just like,
his own defense secretary, James Mattis.
Yeah, that guy,
said that he was a threat to the
Yeah,
Constitution.
that dude's a fucking psycho. Yeah, that dude's psycho. So, like John Bolton, yeah, psycho. I don't know why he keeps surrounding himself with all these psychos. Probably because he's psycho too. But it's just like
yes, he is psycho because it's just a grift,
you have to be
man.
Psycho to want to be president, dude. You have to be psycho to want to be president. That's crazy. That's like a mass
I don't
murder
think
job.
that's necessarily
That's a mass murder
true.
job. Like who's not mass murdering? Like even Obama's just like, you know, I'm really good at killing people. I'm really good at killing these brown kids in wedding parties. I'm really good at killing these people. It's like I can't be associated with that, can I?
You get no qualms with me, but like I personally feel that I have more sway inside the Democratic Party. Therefore,
oh, you do? Okay, well that may be true. And the thing is, like, I just feel like it kind of just left me behind. I don't feel like I necessarily have a home in the Democratic Party. I'd love to be a Democrat. I feel like I encourage people to be Democrats. It's way easier to be a Democrat. Trust me, you don't want this shit. You want to turn into this? You look what it's done to me, guys. Look at this. Look at this cry for help right here. Look at this. It's ridiculous.
But that's the thing. You did it to yourself. You put the clown hair on. You put the clown hat on.
I did, and I can take it off. But can I?
I understand the idea of voting for a Trump. What does he think of Steve Schmidt? What do you think of Steve Schmidt?
Oh, total piece of shit. Like, oh my God. Yeah, again, all these like Republicans, they like created the Lincoln Project to like swindle people out of a bunch of money and then have no impact on the election whatsoever because nobody takes them seriously. And that's just like the divide between the populism side of the Republican Party and why Fox News their ratings has tanked because they relied on their populism appeal and they just blew it when they didn't defend Trump to the death like they should have. Or they should have for their fiduciary responsibility.
What do you mean should have? He lost the election by 7 million votes.
It was obviously fraudulent. There's no way that.
What do you mean obviously fraudulent?
Well, they're just like covering up the windows on the count. They're doing like the swindle on like the back behind the back flash drive maneuvers there, like the water.
All of those things have been like I've spent the last fucking month and a half of my show watching these videos.
Yeah, the thing is, there was opportunity and there was motive, and anytime that those two things exist, there has to be.
There was no opportunity because each polling place.
Here's where it happens. Here's where it happens. The tech censorship that banned all the people on the right, so they couldn't fight back, and then with the mail-in ballot scheme, where they changed the Constitution, they tried to change the Constitution in Pennsylvania, never got to it. I just don't see. I don't see convincing any of the Trump people that election was fair because you have demented animated corpse Joe Biden who nobody likes and has no support and can't get anybody out to support him, and then you got
Trump was that hated. I voted for Joe Biden. I haven't voted for a Democrat in over a decade. I voted for Joe Biden.
And that's a crazy story. That I'm intrigued by your story. I want to have you on my show.
Absolutely.
I want to get to the bottom of how your mind works.
Trump is that fucking bad, man.
You think he's that bad? Why? Why? Everybody's talking about why should he be arrested? Why do people think he should be arrested? I'm missing that.
For a number of reasons.
Well, that's the thing. They always have a number of reasons. Or they have 10,000 lives or 20,000 lives. That's usually what you say when you don't have one good one.
Well, okay. The thing that he's most likely going to get popped on is going to be from the Southern District of New York on tax fraud. He admitted to inflating his worth for bank loans and then deflating his worth when it came to his taxes. That's fraud. That's what he's what he's going to get popped on.
Well, but I mean that's what fucking Joe Biden's and Hunter are being investigated by the FBI for right now. Tax fraud. It's literally what they're being investigated for right now. And that's the problem with Joe Biden is it's like, let's run the guy who is everything.
Joe Biden is not under investigation, first of all.
He molests children. He does all these things. There's so many things about Joe Biden. It's just like,
he doesn't, as far as I know, he doesn't, he sniffed a couple of children.
Not the few.
That I will give you. But I mean, I have
know,
the documents, where Trump has been accused of raping a 13-year-old. So
right. Well, and he's shady. Well, that's the thing. Like
Trump is super shady.
Well, and that's the thing. It was just like I feel like the Democrats could have won by running a ham sandwich, but they didn't have anybody so qualified. And amazing.
Exactly.
Like,
That's why.
We're able to push it over the edge. But again, Joe Biden is filling his cabinet with all corporate people. Not one single Bernie person is in there, dude. He's not, he's giving it all the corporate cronies, dude. It's like, thanks for playing, folks. Try again. And that's the thing. You piss off people like that enough times, eventually you get people like me who are just like, fuck you. So we'll see. You made the deal with the devil. We'll see how it plays out for you guys.
What do you mean deal with the devil? That's Joe Biden is this milquetoast centrist that money interest, we were like, okay, yeah, we agree with. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of glad that it was Joe Biden, because had it been Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden is basically a Republican, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he's so offensive to Trump
supporters.
A
lot of Trump supporters hate Republican Party. I mean, you hear them screaming in the street like, "Kill the GOP, kill the GOP." There's a huge divide, and the question is, do we want the Trump people to own the Republican Party, or do we want the neocon establishment warmongers to own the Republican Party? And that's the fight that I'm fighting on. I'm trying to wage the war in the right. I'm not even concerned about I don't even know what's going on in leftist politics right now. It's just I just haven't been paying attention. And eventually, I'm going to change this to the right to left podcast and work my way back. I pretty much reached that extreme to where it's time to come back. Time to come home. And again, there will become a point where we will be aligned politically somewhere down the line. I assure you. But now it seems like we are mortal enemies.
Why are we mortal enemies? I don't know what's going on here.
Well, that's just the media frame. That's the media frame, right? The media frame.
No.
Well,
it's a your frame. You just said that.
My frame?
Yes.
Is it my frame? Well, to me, like, I'm just being perceptive of what I'm seeing and what I'm analyzing through the media filters.
There's no media filter here. It's just you and I. And it seems like
that's true.
You have a anti-corporatist bent to you.
I do.
So that seems like we could find
a lot of ways too.
Common ground on that. I'm very pro small business.
One thing is, I agree with the left on like 98% of shit.
Then why are you sitting there with the clown hat and the clown hair on?
Because I honestly believe that Donald Trump is a Democrat. I think he's more to the left than Joe Biden. I think he's more to the, I think he's more progressive on gay marriage. I think he's more progressive on a lot of issues. That's just like,
Okay, Trump himself.
Economic policy, I feel like, is where we have our biggest disagreement.
Trump himself may actually be to the left of Joe Biden on some things.
Right.
But the problem is everybody that he's put around him has been a giveaway to the Republican special interest normal.
Well, and I think that's a prudent argument. Yeah, that's a good argument. A trenchant critique, if you will, I will say. And again, I'm not here to defend the Republican establishment, because those are my enemy more than the leftists. I mean, they're my main enemy right now. I'm fighting them.
Well, you're not fighting them with Donald Trump, though. You're capitulating to them.
How so? Trust me, they don't like Donald Trump either, or you wouldn't have Senator McConnell stabbing in the back, or you wouldn't have all these people, neocon people on the Chris Christie being like, "There, I'm a fat man." Blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't have.
What do you mean stabbing him in the back? Because Mitch McConnell acknowledged the results of the election, he stabbed him in the back. Is that?
I assure you, that's how Trump sees it.
I'm certain that's how Trump sees it.
And again, I'm just trying to be a megaphone for the people on the right. So I'm not even necessarily. It's just like I'm trying to talk about these people's concerns, and that's just how they're going to take it. That's how they.
But you're being a megaphone for propaganda, because, Trump lost the election.
Those people exist whether I shine light on them or not. And that's the thing. To not know that they exist even is not going to make you prepared to take them on.
But if you're amplifying a message that's not true, don't you feel responsible for that?
I do believe it is. It has many truths to it. There are many things about Trump's message that are true, or else it wouldn't be so popular. he's definitely gotten a strain of truth. He's not right about everything. I definitely oppose him on many things. However, he's clearly communicating to a large segment of the population to be as popular as he is. And people willing to fucking die or super spread viruses just to go see his ass. Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy level.
That's a cult of personality. Media Winch wants to know
And
if you're a performance art.
Who wants to know?
Media Winch wants to know if you're performance art.
Performance art? I mean, I do like, I do love performance in art.
He
I
sings.
play Mean Duty in Greece, I will say. I do have something of an improv to me. I have binged every episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia at least 50 times. So there is a part of me that comes from that level. Jamming to somebody's jamming.
What's a
All right,
Snicket says, dude doesn't care about anyone but Trump. He's a bootlicker. Are you a bootlicker?
I mean, that may be true, but to me, I feel like I was so forced to conform by the left that to be supporting Joe Biden right now would actually be bootlicking. Like, I'd rather be just like a fucking free agent out here just saying like fuck you to everybody, and just trying to figure out some sort of independent truth. So I don't see myself as a bootlicker, although I don't have like any inbred like hate of police. I used to fear them a lot more than I do now, but I don't think we need to defund them or get rid of them or anything.
Have you seen the budgets for cities? Like, it's always police, just a fucking huge chunk. Everything else.
People think that that's necessary, and murders in Minneapolis up 90%. Those are the kind of the true statistics. That's why Trump got elected right there. And all the metrics that got Trump elected the first time, they're still there. They haven't changed. And until we change those metrics, like, there will be another Trump. The next guy who's actually a conservative. Imagine if you freaked out this much over a guy that's basically a corporate liberal shill, dude. Imagine he's basically a comedian and performance artist of his right. But imagine if you get an actual conservative in there, or like a Mike Pence or somebody like that in there, and it's like,
is Mike Pence who you? Because that's what I was getting ready to say. Throw us some names. Who do you see for 2024?
Well, obviously I want Rand Paul to win because he's
Rand Paul
the most. I would probably trust Rand Paul the most. He would be my number one preference at this point, I would say, or maybe a dark horse. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm very skeptical of everybody. So it's
back in 2016, I thought that Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders being the nominees, that would have been the best thing for the country.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean Ron Paul? Yeah, I think Ron Paul and Bernie back. Was that?
No. Rand Paul in 2016.
Okay, yeah. I think there was a Ron Paul Bernie situation in 2012 or 2008? I think it was 2012. Yeah. Did Bernie run in 2012?
No.
Okay. Never mind. That was just Ron Paul then. So yeah, I think that people would have liked that, and maybe that's what we'll get something like. Who's going to be the populist champion on the left now? And that's what worries me. Is like I don't see the cult of personality on the left. Like, is it going to be AOC? I don't know if she has the gravitas to really pull like.
Oh, she does. She's a badass.
How do you feel about Kamala Harris? Like, are you comfortable with
that? It could have been worse.
Could it have? Not for me.
It could have been Amy Klobuchar. It could have been.
I would have much preferred Amy Klobuchar.
No.
Preferred Amy Klobuchar. You don't like Amy Klobuchar? What's wrong with Amy?
It could have been Pete Buttigieg.
Could have been Pete, but now he's got to be transportation secretary, so we got that going for us now.
Yeah. Not excited about that at all.
Oh, did you hear Joe Biden call his male lover Kristen? That's not going to win your points. You can't call her by her female name.
Do what?
The guy's a gaff master. Joe Biden is a gaff master. He's just a gaff waiting to happen.
He is. That's one of the fun things about him.
Like, is he even there? You don't think there's any kind of mental decline there?
Oh, I do. I talked about it a lot early on. Okay. So if Joe Biden had ran in 2016, because one of the things that I did was I went back and watched a lot of his interviews from 2016. Completely different man. So sharp. He was so much better of a speaker.
Yeah, it's not a stutter. It's the fact that he had a stroke or something. And, I don't wish harm on the guy. I don't want him to have medical problems, but it's also like, there is an optic level to this job, and you have to be a symbol of strength, and he's a symbol of frailty. You know, he's breaking his leg, but, you know, base puppy can break his leg out of the shot. It's just like it's a bad look. I don't think people are going to lead. Who's going to follow that as a leader? Nobody's like Trump actually has a following.
Trump's a giant man baby, though.
Well, all these people are. I mean, I'm
I'd much rather have Biden than Trump. Fuck Joe Biden. But he's a million times better than Trump.
Is he though? And can
yes.
Can you say anything good about Joe Biden without including Trump's name? It's impossible.
He actually has empathy for people. He genuinely
he's
feels empathy. Trump does not. He's like a fucking sociopath.
See, to me, like I see
the psychopath.
To me, the psychopath is Joe Biden pretending and putting on an act of empathy when he's a cold-blooded killer like the rest of them, dude. They're all cold-blooded killers. We're all in a party, and we're not in it. You know, they're all in a club, and it's not ours.
Hey, dude, like if we're gonna hand all the presidents over to the Hague except Jimmy Carter, I'm down with it.
Right? Well, I'd be cool with that.
Okay, see, we have some common ground.
I've already told you I think Trump's Hitler. I just think that the Democratic Republican establishment is super Hitler. So I'm going with Hitler versus super Hitler in this one. And there's my first face palm. I got it. Yes. For the civic good.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's just, I don't either. You know, I try to argue my own points too, but you know, eventually I run out of room. I'm like, yeah, no, that's pretty much right.
Okay, so you mentioned like free speech is one of your.
Yep. Super critical, yeah. Because I think without the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, your guns don't mean shit if you can't speak freely, or you can't have a Paul Revere type situation. You can't tell other people what's going on. If you can censor medical doctors, if you can censor, you know, any kind of narrative you don't like getting out, if power can just censor independent journalism like that, you know, it doesn't sit well with me.
So you're talking about platforms like Twitter and YouTube, which are private companies,
right? Yeah, fuck them.
yeah, but they're private companies. Like you, Freddie Freshcastle, you can go and you can buy a server. You can get a URL, and you can host whatever content that you want.
Right, but that's the thing about monopolies, though. Like once you've established yourself as the place to go, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of where it brings in more people, and it makes competitors not be allowed to compete. And that's the biggest problem with this issue is that there's this illusion. Oh, you can just it's competition, or it's a private company. You know, it's a private company. So don't even worry
that's not an illusion.
No. Governments have always, that's what fascism is. It has always been government colluding with the biggest corporations to silence free speech. And government is using social media platforms by proxy, by allowing it. They're doing it through proxy so they can keep their hands clean on this shit. But we all know what's going on. We see what's going on.
What's going on? Tell me. Go deeper into that.
It's the most Orwellian dystopian mass censorship campaign in the history of the universe. You know, we've never seen anything like it. Basically, any opinion that is considered wrong-think, anybody that steps outside the line one time for any number of reasons, and oftentimes subjective, based on some algorithm that we can't see the code for. You know,
there you go. What it is these corporations are lazy and don't want to hire enough people, so they develop algorithms.
Right. They could hire people like me that might have a little nuance, go and see them, like, what was the intent? You know, what exactly is going on here? But no, that totally cuts off satire. As a comedian, it's just like it's an offense. You know, I'm very offended by everything.
The answer to that is leftism.
You think so?
Yes.
Who has the most teeth against these guys? I don't see either side really having any teeth. I feel like everybody's talking to the fucking technocratic establishment is what it looks like to me. It's what it looks like to me. As soon as Biden gets in, what's the first thing that happens? Is like they just do this like giveaway to these fucks. It's crazy. They're trying to pass that thing without the 230. I mean, how do you feel about 230? Like, you know, I don't know if we need to get rid of it because that would kill platforms like Parler potentially. But also, I feel like there just needs to be a free speech. If it's legal to say in the United States, it needs to be legal on the platform. if it's going to be an American company.
I have a lot of problems with the way, like, them Cessna Fosta, whatever, like, killed my dating life. That's what did away with Craigslist personals.
Oh, dude, those were the Wild West days, dude. That was a good time. You know, I gotta go on Hinge and shit.
So, like, I've got a lot of qualms with the way that we regulate the internet, and yeah,
well,
I
and
do.
The thing is, they were determining your potential sexual mate based on an algorithm. So just so you know, you were at the mercy of these corporations determining who your future potential love partner might be. Like, that is fucked up. You know.
Well, no, this was about liability in court for content that was hosted.
Right, which is why, as long as you're not moderating the content, give people legal immunity for things that are on the platform, or let the people that actually post the thing be held liable by if it's illegal, you know, and then give them immunity. But as soon as you start banning people or censoring things you don't like, or that's outside the bounds, or like, you know, our politics says that this is outside the bounds, you know, as soon as you start doing that shit, you're no longer just like a, you know, open platform. You're trying to moderate content, and then you're basically in breach of 230 already, and just nobody's calling them on it. You know, they're already in breach of the law. You know, we just need the law to be enforced, frankly, or reformed.
The answer to that is leftism. It's collectivism. Yes.
Collectivism. Oh man, that's a crazy argument to me. Like, to me, that sounds crazy.
Why?
Crazy. Huh?
We need a platform that we all own.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You know, well, but to me, like, we need to nationalize. You know, if there's going to be a place where there's going to be
leftism. I don't know that nationalization is necessarily the right course of action.
Well, what's the difference between collectivism and nationalism? You know, isn't just a nation just a collective state?
Well, say that we all own stock, because, like, the product in Facebook is our data, so we're selling data to Facebook.
Right.
We have some sort of ownership of our data, and therefore we all own stock inside of a company.
Right.
That would be like a collective way of approaching it.
Right, but still, how would you deal with content moderation? You know, because right now, like, the people on the left are the people that are clamoring for more censorship, because censorship has never been used for benevolent purposes in the history of mankind.
Who is clamoring for more censorship? You're on a show that's like, fuck all with everything.
Right.
Who
that's great. And I think you are a diamond in the rough. You know, that's the thing. You're the exception, not the rule. I think if you look at Susan Wojcicki, you know, she's constantly under pressure to censor more. You know, you look at the Democratic senators in the Susan Wojcicki. A lot of people don't even know that that's the person in charge of YouTube content moderation. But Susan Wojcicki, and she's one of the, like, richest people in the world, and she has, you know, it's all like a nepotism cesspool. They're all married to the other billionaires and the big people in tech, and, you know, it's all just like a big club to censor the little guy and keep them suppressed and keep them from building a following. Because, like, as soon as they you know, they kick you off, you know, I'd get a new account. I'd build to about 100 followers. I'd get any kind of, like, notoriety at all, and then boom, they drop the ban hammer. Boom, boom, and just, like, keep knocking it down. And so it's just a way to marginalize opinions and views that they don't agree with, so that everything just becomes this milquetoast corporate establishment, advertiser friendly, like, lame ass country that nobody wants to be a part of. Dude, it's gonna be lame. George Carlin's rolling in his goddamn grave.
I agree with you. It's advertising. The way to fight that is collectivism.
The devil here. Yeah. What's that?
The way to fight that is collectivism.
How do you fight that with collectivism? Because won't the collective just decide what's socially acceptable and ban anything else that's not outside not in the collective's interest? Like, what happens if somebody dissents from the collective? You know, who decides what's wrong to think or not? Like, who has, like, the ultimate authority and control? They're trying to just, like, give it to some algorithm so they don't have to take personal responsibility for their inner politics.
Yeah, give it to the people. Make it more democratic.
Well, I would love that. I mean, I would love that, and I think that's what Parler. You know, the competition. That's why capitalism.
Dude, you've got to admit that Parler sucks.
Competition.
The interface on Parler sucks ass. You've got to admit that.
Relative to Twitter, which has had like a 10-year head start, but again, like I think it's better than nothing. It's a pretty dead platform now, but it's growing, and I hope that one day it becomes as vibrant, perhaps as Twitter is now. But you're right. It is not as fun as to go over and clown on all the, like, because there's not as many celebrities or famous people, or it doesn't have the history. And that gets back to the monopoly power of being the first or the established one. That becomes a self-fulfilling cycle that just, like, everybody comes to that because that's where everybody is. And, now it's impossible to compete with those people. And that's why Facebook is being sued, and I don't know what court or so for monopolistic practices by buying up Instagram and all these different vertically integrated competing threats to their hegemonic power.
Yeah, fuck capitalism.
Well, and if you want to talk about fuck this, like, corporate capitalism, then I'm totally for it. I'm definitely with you. But, like, to me, like, the root of capitalism is just competition and just voluntarily exchanging goods and services for mutually.
Capitalism is the money funnels upwards. You're always going to get oligarchs, and it's going to end in fascism.
Well, but technically, the money only goes up if those people are serving the majority. The whole point is serving as many people as possible. And people don't just give people money for nothing. That's what we got to get out of, just giving people money. Stop giving these politicians your damn money. First of all, stop giving politicians your money. You worked hard for that shit. They did not. Because nobody can use your resources better than you. Nobody can better allocate your resources than you, is my opinion.
So the way I look at it is corporations have bought our politicians.
True. Totally agree.
We need to put politicians in power that don't take corporate donations.
Right, which is why I think a lot of people like Trump, because he seems so independent from the establishment, because he was.
But he's not. He's a grifter.
Well, that's likely true.
He has been lining his pockets with money from his campaign.
That's what these people do. Yeah. Exactly.
Whereas
again,
it's
just like when the Democrats, every time the Democrats try to call out Trump, they're equally guilty, which is why Trump is the ultimate Chinese finger trap. Like, the more you fight that shit, the more you're ensnared. The more, as soon as you
I don't think they're equally guilty at all. I think that is propaganda from your corporate media.
I think Trump
that makes a false equivalency.
Joe Biden's real prima facie crime. That's what I think. I think Trump got impeached for investigating Joe Biden's prima facie crimes in Ukraine. That's what I think.
No, he got impeached because he tried to blackmail the leader of a foreign country to make up bullshit about Joe Biden.
Well, he threatened to withhold aid from Ukraine, whereas Nancy Pelosi threatened to withhold aid.
He blackmailed the leader of another country.
Did he, though?
Yes.
What phone call was that? Where was the blackmail on that? I didn't see the blackmail.
Oh, I don't have the transcript anymore, but I used to have it highlighted because everybody was like, "Did you read the transcript?" Yes, I did.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not aware of the blackmail.
But that's been forever. That was a decade ago, man.
Well, I know, and I investigated that thoroughly, and I did not read into it blackmail. I read into somebody was trying to say, "Hey, look into this. There might be something going on there," which there obviously was. Because
there obviously was. That's why he got impeached.
No. Like, he got impeached.
Yes.
No, he got. There was no legitimate basis for that impeachment, which is why he was.
Yes, there was. There was the blackmail of Ukraine.
See, that's the thing.
Yes, that's what he got impeached for.
No, which was not an impeachable offense. There was no.
Yes, it totally was.
Well, it was a made up moral panic hysteria to deflect.
No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, we're talking about being on the board of Burisma, dude, making all those millions of dollars. Joe Biden wasn't taking any money.
It was like $500,000, wasn't it?
Hunter Biden was taking all this money from China and Ukraine, and then buying his family, or just giving his family credit cards, or basically debit cards, so that they would spend the money and there'd be no trail.
I don't think there was ever a business deal in China.
What's that?
The Bubblinsky thing. There was never a business deal that went down. It was only a proposed business deal.
Right, but I mean, still Hunter Biden on Air Force.
Trump, on the other hand, had a secret bank account in China. Has a secret bank account in China. He's like, Ivanka got issued all kinds of copyrights in China.
Hunter Biden was building the biggest port in the world. It was like the richest man in the world, and also working with the Chinese spy chief.
Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao.
Yeah,
her family.
And fuck Mitch McConnell, dude. Right, exactly, dude. Here's some more alignment, dude. Mitch McConnell is the turtle devil. We gotta get, if we can just like get that guy.
But you're empowering Mitch McConnell anytime that you vote Republican.
Mitch McConnell is on your side, buddy.
No, he's not. I've been fighting, and I'm from Kentucky, so I have been fighting against Mitch McConnell for decades, sir.
That's the illusion of a fight. That's the illusion of a fight. They want you to think they're definitely on the same side. That's the establishment. You have both sides of the establishment, the hegemonic control, making you think that they're opposed, but those people are in fact working together. I think Mitch McConnell is a piece of shit, obviously, but so is Joe Biden.
I
think both those people
I would bet that Mitch McConnell is happy that Trump lost.
You think? I think that Trump lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy that Trump lost.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I think he's
to retain, at least he thinks, the Senate for now, because people did show up to vote for Trump.
He used Trump to retain the Senate.
Yeah.
He used Trump to get the tax cuts through.
Yeah.
And that's really all that Trump accomplished during his administration was the tax cuts.
That wasn't everything that he accomplished. A ton. He got rid of the individual mandate in Obamacare, which was unconstitutional. He brought a bunch of troops home from Afghanistan.
I do not think that we've actually withdrawn any troops yet.
I mean, you talk about energy independence.
It's been all bluster. That was under Obama. I've got the graphs to prove that.
Well, maybe, but either way, that's a good thing. I don't know.
Somebody else is saying that you might be performance art. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You gotta draw the line, dude, or else it's not cool. They can't know if you're being serious or not. That's how
I'm being serious, though. When I get on here, I'm giving my opinion. It's my honest...
Right. And me too. Honestly, I'm giving my opinion, for sure.
You're wearing clown hair.
And opinion, dude. It's wild. I get that. I understand.
You always have a white polo on. Is there a reason for that?
I've been rocking. I used to rock a suit with like a nice bow tie in the early episodes, you'll see, and then I kind of was just like, I think it's just a nice blend to cut out with the green screen, and it also just allows me to color balance really well after the fact in Final Cut. I don't know, but I play a lot of tennis, so I feel comfortable in this. But now that it's getting colder, I might switch to something a little bit more seasonally appropriate. But I'm glad that people are noticing my Doug Nickelodeon 90s reference style, similar attire that matches from episode.
What up, Ninja?
If you go into my closet, you will just see 20 white Prince polos.
Wow.
Actually, I don't even own pants. I don't own a single pair of pants.
Are you telling me you're not wearing pants right now?
You want to find out?
Stand up.
We've got a show, folks. We've got a show. No. I can't reveal those trade secrets. I'm under confidentiality agreement not to reveal my penis on air.
I think that would get me kicked off of a couple of platforms. So thank you.
I know. I'm trying to. Right. Exactly. Although who knows? Yeah. Exactly. I want to keep you advertised friendly. Amazing.
So now you did not vote for either of the two-party candidates in 2016, but you did vote for Trump in 2020.
I did not. Although I was on the front lines of the meme wars. I was basically a meme generator. I might have accidentally got Trump elected, or I might have contributed to that. Because it was more about punking the left at that point for their arrogance, and they were just, again, they needed a check. The left has no limiting principles. That's the problem with the left. There's nothing that just like keeps them in check. As soon as you give them an inch, they try to take a mile. And the next thing you know, you've got
what are you talking about? You've got to what?
You're doing hormone replacement therapy for children. I think that, again, there's two issues.
That doesn't happen. Puberty blockers, maybe.
What's that? Right. And then also just that issue, as long as with the male sport, dickless dudes just beating the shit out of women. I think those two issues are really holding back the trans. I think a lot of people accept trans people for just because everybody's libertarian. Do you just do you? We're gonna do us, and I'm not trying to keep you from being.
I don't think it's that way at all. I think they're constantly.
Right, as long as you're not threatening my life in some way, that's cool. However,
no, trans people.
And you got to be careful. You know, there's slippery slopes on leftism. So it's like, how far is too far? Is there ever a point where the left will be satisfied? Is there ever a point where progressivism will be, you know, this is where we needed to stay for a while. You know, we just need to hang out here for a minute. Because appreciate everything that we've accomplished and just try to hold on instead of just like piss everybody off by pushing beyond the realms of what people are ready to hear at that time in history. Because politics is slow. Time is slow. People take, you know, generations. It takes time for mindsets to evolve.
Okay, so what you're saying is that trans people deserve rights. Everybody should accept them.
Everybody deserves equal rights. You know, they should not be discriminated against in any way.
But in practice, people don't act like that.
Well, a lot of people don't, because a lot of people don't accept trans people. But like, I don't think that's a lot of the people in the Trump movement. I feel like there's a lot of acceptance for anybody.
Oh.
I mean, look at the African American support, the Latino support, the LGBTQ support. I mean, it's there, you know, because there's outsiders there. All the outsiders are there. Anybody that just feels completely, you know, just pissed off by how the establishment has been behaving has just become a Trump supporter. You know, I'm not necessarily a natural Trump supporter. I hated Trump before it was cool. You know, before he got into politics, I was like, that's a piece of shit. But
no. See, I loved him. I loved watching him appear on like Saturday Night Live and David Letterman and shit.
Yeah, he's entertaining as fucking as a comedian. I think he's one of the great performance artists of our generation. He and Alex Jones, I think both of them are just like, those are gems. You know, we gotta appreciate them for it, because we're not gonna get too many of them. You know, we're not, like the George Carlins. We're not going to get too many. We got to appreciate these people while they're here, because you know, most people don't have the gravitas to do it.
Please do not compare Trump to George Carlin. That's
no, dude. But there's such a good
blasphemy,
right? Right. That's definitely pissing people. That's a troll, isn't it? Yeah. You know. Okay. Well, then I'll compare him to Robin Williams. How about that?
No.
Okay.
Way off again.
How about I compare him to my aunt with Down syndrome? How about that? Does that work?
Much better. So what was the compelling force in the 2020 election that made you vote for Trump?
The two issues that compel me at all are free speech and anti-war, and I just see who's more aligned with those two issues, and that's kind of where I support. So it just looked like to me that Trump was the anti-war candidate, because I think Kamala's going to get her war one way or the other. And the other thing,
what does that mean?
And Trump was clearly against the free speech censorship on social media platforms, right? He's basically become the symbol of the person most censored.
What war has Harris been pushing for? Have I missed something?
Well, I just think that if you look at who supports Kamala Harris, it's the corporate establishment people that are behind the wars. Am I wrong about that? Like, it's definitely a concern of mine for sure.
That's who supports everybody.
Like, the anti-war left just disappeared when Obama got elected, in my perception.
I think that is definitely a problem, but that's not a reason to put on clown hair and go full on fascist.
Well, and you know, it's a long story. You know, it wasn't point A to point B. You know, it was a gradual progression of insanity down into, you know, the deep submersion into clown world. We're going down into clown world. We're going down into clown. Whoa, world.
Were you radicalized by the internet?
Perhaps, probably. Right? Weren't we all? Oh, I don't know. I think I was. What was I radicalized by? That, you know, and I don't know if I would consider myself radical necessarily, because I think like one of my motives is to de-radicalize. I wanted to have the people on the right that feel radicalized have someone that's, you know, making them laugh and speaking to them, saying the things that they're afraid to say or nobody in the mainstream will say and speak to them about. And when they hear that makes them less feel like that they don't have to go out and do crazy shit themselves. You know, it's amazing how comedy and music and all these things and just like talking with people can have a de-escalating effect. It's kind of like we are right now. You know, we learn that maybe we aren't so different. And that was the crazy thing about my upbringing, is that I'm half Gentile, half Jew. So that's another interesting factoid about me. But I was kind of raised, you know, in a very leftist environment. My parents work for the Democratic Party to this day. They're very prominent Democrats, actually. but at that time, I lost the thread. I'm not even gonna go into that. But yeah, I don't even know. Lost the thread.
So is this more about rebelling against your parents?
It maybe it's a rebellion against my. Well, and that's why I realized when I got into the world, because it was always like, well, my dad was he's a chemistry nerd, and it was always like, oh, I got passed up for this promotion because I didn't go to the right church, or there was a very like anti-Christian stigma, and I moved from New York.
Are you religious?
Bumfuck East Tennessee. Well, that's a very good question too. We'll unpack that too. But when I got to East Tennessee, it was more churches than almost anything, so it was a crazy mind fuck, just culture shock, to say the least. But I said all these things about. But then I grew up and I actually got to know the other side. I got to learn what the other side was thinking, what made them tick. They were actually acting rationally, not out of hatred to me. They weren't, as the media says, they were just trying to like hate gay people or something. No, they were just trying to like protect their livelihoods and their families. It's usually like economic issues that motivates people to the polls. But yeah, as far as religion goes, I was pretty anti-religious. I rebelled hard there. I went through like a agnostic and an anti-theist stage. I was atheist for a while and then anti-theist. I was like, very hard on the Richard Dawkins, like Four Horsemen shit. I was deep in there. And then, I had a pretty spiritual experience on psychedelic mushrooms or two. Bungee jumped a few times on those, and there's seeing the connectivity of everybody and everything, and seeing how everything is connected. It's kind of like a Buddhism thing, but like I kind of just became pro-religion, pro-God. I kind of just, it's just like, maybe it doesn't make sense, but when you use that as a frame, as a filter for your life, things actually do get better. Even if it's like just made up shit. It's like, oh, actually, if I just live my life as I'm just going to have faith in something. I'm going to be positive about things. I'm going to have a good attitude. And I'm just going to try to make moves and work towards some productive ends. It does have a positive effect on the mental state and just your well-being.
It's just another form of self-help is what you just described.
Is what another form of self-help?
Just a religious self-help.
I'm definitely not. Don't listen to me on any of that shit. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. Don't. I don't know necessarily, but I do feel that there is a interconnectivity of human beings and all life, really.
Well, that's some hippie shit that you say after you did some mushrooms.
Yeah. Right. No, totally. And
how do you get from that point to being accepting of religion?
Well, it's crazy. I've had some crazy experiences. I've been, oh man, yeah, where to even start there? Let's see. I was held at gunpoint by 3 13-year-old African-American individuals on the streets of Oakland, and while my girlfriend was pistol whipped, and I was almost murdered. Let's see. Got a couple other situations.
Why'd you have to include the race in there?
Because to that point, that was part of the reason why I got myself in trouble, because I didn't want to be racist. I didn't want to judge these people. And I put myself into a situation where I was hurt very badly and almost killed the person that I cared most about.
How'd you know they were 13-year-old?
Because they're eventually caught. Basically, they weren't all 13, but it was 13, 14, 15-year-olds in like a gang initiation. And it was like outside of BART station.
What was your little white ass doing in Oakland?
Right. Well, the thing is, I had a buddy in the Army that moved to North Berkeley, and we were just going to see him. He was going to the Church of John Coltrane. I wanted to go out and see the Church of John Coltrane, dude. Checked out up to that point. But no, I've had a couple others, just crazy experiences. I tried to start a business. I got into actually trying to run a small business, and then realizing what's in, trying to even pay people, trying to be at the, be a job creator, trying to like manage, like, how am I even going to do this? How to keep people happy? How to support the people that are that I'm working with? But also, like, how do I keep myself in a position to continue to be able to pay these people to do what they love and what they were put on this planet to do? Because that's what gives me the most joy in this life, is to be able to enable other people to do what they're passionate about.
You don't play music?
I do, yeah. I'm a record producer, artist. I do it all.
Oh shit! No way.
Yeah. Nashville, Tennessee, baby.
No fucking way, really? I used to go to Nashville like every other weekend back before the pandemic.
Where are you at? You in Denver?
Did you say Denver?
Yeah, I have no idea where you're located. I was a guess.
No, I'm in Alabama.
You're in Alabama?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. Oh, dude, you're close. Dude, I got buddies down there in Huntsville. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that's
Nice,
I used to go up to Nashville for concerts back when there were still
hell,
more
dude,
concerts.
Nashville's such a great city. Yeah, it was a great city. A little bit better before the pandemic, but it's still a great city. If I'm going to be locked down anywhere, this is the place to be, in my mind.
Well, I used to really enjoy going up to the Ryman Marathon Music Works.
That's my favorite venue. Yeah, Ryman is so amazing. Man, saw Bill Burr there twice. I saw him tape a comedy special. So good.
A clown wig and a MAGA hat. We're still trying to figure him out.
I know. Well, that's the thing. This is definitely a costume. This is a costume. So, what I'm saying is I'm trying to keep it real as much as possible. However, the clown wig and the hat, that's just because I think that sends the right message. Because it just throws people off. I want to get a vagina hat. I want to get the vagina hat and like the MAGA hat, like a MAGA vagina hat. I just want to throw people off. I think they're throwing them off. That was the whole point. That's working. It sounds like it's working beautifully.
What has been the reaction to your show?
Mostly negative.
I feel you.
But that's the thing. Again, like I always do. I make records, and I'm so like thoughtful about every little thing, and I don't want to release things until it's like perfect. It's the perfect representation of who I am as an artist or whatever. But like this is like I just wanted to get video production shots. That's how I kind of started it, because I went from the audio world into the video world and started doing like these on-site field recordings on top of mountains and stuff, just like guitar vocal recordings and stuff like that, and kind of got big into that. But I just was deep into video production. I just wanted a project that was going to propel that in some way, and so I just kind of started this. I'm going to make something ridiculous that's going to be terrible and trash at first, and then over time, I'll develop it and iron out the wrinkles and up my game production-wise, and eventually, maybe it'll be cool. And if not, I'm going to be entertained and learning along the way. So
have you thought about a career making right-wing parody songs?
Right. It's potential. And there was a period of my life when I was in 5th grade. Weird Al was the only music that existed. Everything else was dead to me. Every other music didn't make sense to me. It's like, why would you even put out that music? Unless you want Weird Al to make a parody of it, of course. So there was a period of time where I was hard in the paint on the Weird Al. So maybe that explains a little bit too. I definitely got a lot of interesting influences for sure.
Man, yeah. I'm with you. Did you say 5th grade? I think that was the exact time. 5th, 6th grade.
Dude.
I was all about the Weird Al.
Amazing. Oh, the whole catalog, yeah. And I got to see him at the Luther Burbank Center in Santa Rosa, California. And I was like on the front row and got to like slap his hand as he ran by. It was amazing. It's amazing. I think it might have burned down though in the fires, unfortunately.
Oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Although they'd already changed it from the Luther Burbank Center, which I'll always know it as, to like the CNBC Bank or some of that shit.
I hate corporate sponsorship of venues.
Oh, it's so bad. They just they've made sports terrible. They've made everything terrible. But again, that's I guess that's what it pays to make it so. The production values are so off the charts. It's like, all right, whatever.
You're a leftist, man. You gotta take the clown hair off, and you gotta join with us.
No, I'm saying you're a leftist. You need to come put your clown hair on and come hang over here with the lefties. No. How? Well, either you bend the knee to people like Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, or you fight. The enemy of your enemy is your friend. And that's the thing. No matter how Trump is so dumb that no matter what he does, it's not going to be as bad as Hillary Clinton. She actually knows what she's doing. You kidding me?
I made some of those same arguments back in 2016. I was wrong. Hillary Clinton does know what she was doing, and that's why. Yes, Hillary Clinton did know what she was doing. That's why she would have handled the pandemic a hell of a lot better.
Would she have though?
Yes, without a doubt.
It wouldn't have even happened under Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, without a doubt. There would have been no pandemic because there would have been no reason for the Chinese communists to release the bioweapon as next asymmetrical biometric or.
Now come on.
Oh, it's of course that's what happened. That's Occam's razor. It's look who had the most to gain. China, Democrats, vaccine producers. Boom. Those are the people I'm going to suspect until I see conclusive evidence refuting. They got that Wuhan biolab, you know, like that's shady.
You need to accept.
Bad project.
You need to accept that it was just a wet market incident.
No, it wasn't a wet market incident. That makes no sense. Because how'd you get like?
Yes, it does.
No, it was a fucking hybrid. You know, it has like 5 viruses in there. You look at that shit, dude. That shit doesn't occur in nature. You know, it's got like HIV in there, dude. That shit's crazy, dude. I ain't definitely not taking that vaccine. I would not recommend anybody take that vaccine.
It's like animals. Shit. The two vaccines.
You trust the Operation Warp Speed vaccine? You trust that?
The two vaccines are mRNA vaccines.
I know.
So they don't contain any of the virus, so you don't have to be worried about that.
Right. Well, that's not the one I'm worried about. I'm worried about them reprogramming my DNA. I'm worried about them sterilizing me.
That's not what's happening.
Allergic reaction. I'm worried about like instant death. You know, we used to have to wait 6 months to see what would happen with this shit. But Operation Warp Speed, you don't get Operation Warp Speed, that shit at your ass. Now it's like, oh, Trump just went in there. And the only reason that this shit's approved is he just went in there and was like, you know, I think we could do it in 1 month.
Well, they've been studying these kinds of viruses for years.
But we've never had a successful coronavirus vaccine. You know, there's a reason we've never had a successful coronavirus vaccine. Because it's just constantly mutating. We already have 17 mutations and shit like that. It's like
I know you're making one of the arguments for like locking down and not letting it spread.
Well, but that's
which we should have done at the beginning.
We were never serious about the lockdown. The corporate establishment went on.
Thank you.
Plan.
Yes, you're right.
All the planes kept flying, dude. Everybody just kept going around, dude. Nobody was the Black Lives Matter people out in the streets, you know, and that's fine. You know, that actually helped spread, according to some articles. This is like ridiculous. You know, you got to condemn that because as soon as they did that, they gave permission to all the MAGA people. Like, well, they're going to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, and that's how they rationalized it. And the next thing you know, they're super.
No, you don't get to like blame Black Lives Matter because the MAGA people.
That's literally what happened. It's not that I'm blaming them. I'm just saying they made an action.
It's not one group of people's fault.
Well, but it was.
Ninja Man, I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out. That's been this entire hour.
How can you go out and mass protest in the streets during a pandemic and not be a super spreader, and then expect the people that you're opposed to politically, because that was a political movement, and you don't expect the people the opposition to come out and super spread too, and that's exactly what they did, and everybody's just being idiots. And you know, I have a science background. You know, I have a degree in nuclear engineering background, but like, you know, not using that shit. No political will for that.
Sounds like you are using that. Oh no. Oh, you're not meaning in the argument. You're meaning you're not using it to make a living.
No, I'm not using.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I have a science background, so all these people are crazy. I don't think the masks really do shit, you know? I think you're better off just taking a high dose of vitamin
C. They stop you from spitting everywhere. I spit when I talk.
Right, well, maybe, but like again, they say on the packaging that it does not stop the spread of COVID-19. And you assume that these people are washing.
Well, yeah, but that's a legal thing. They do stop you from spitting everywhere, and your spit's what carries the virus. Right. But people don't use them properly. If people weren't reusing their masks, or they were actually every time they were washing them. Well, you've got a platform. Educate people on how to use their masks properly.
Well,
do you want me to go grab one? We'll do a little walk through right now.
Well, now you got to take the mask off because unfortunately it's a security blanket, and these people are all like psychologically traumatized, you know. And now
it's not a security blanket.
These people have like they have psychosis. They have pathologies over this mask now. Like it's their condom that's going to protect them. It's their super suit. They go out and they're like, yeah, I'm protected, but they're not protected. You know, they're maybe like 30% protected. But the truth is, our mouth can't.
I think it's about 70. Okay, like with surgical masks, it's like 70%. Well, I think it is below 50% for like a cloth mask.
So? You're right. That, you know, I just don't buy the claims necessarily. But yeah, I think it does something. However, I think
it does
psychologically of the mask.
We know this for a fact. There is no negative impact.
What's that? There is a negative. There's an unseen negative psychological impact. It's the trauma. You know, people.
What?
Kids are traumatized.
You don't get trauma for wearing a mask, going to the grocery store? That's some fucking bullshit, dude.
You literally have monkeys putting on masks.
You literally don't.
There's images. You can watch the images of in like fucking Thailand. They're picking up the mask and putting them on because they see the apex predator put them on. They're like, oh shit, I better put that shit on too myself. And people are, you know, you gotta. And eventually, when do you take the mask off? Are you ever going to live in a world without everybody wearing masks out in public all the time? It's like it's the medical Sharia, you know. They had to get those women's faces covered, you know, one way or the other. They were going to get it done. and now they've done it.
I think during flu season, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, supposedly flu deaths are down like 98%. I don't know if you saw in Colorado, 40% of the COVID deaths.
I don't think that's right at all.
Had bullets. Also had bullets in them. You know, they had bullets in them. They died of COVID, but they also had bullets in them.
I would have to dispute.
Well, it may be, but I'm still on the side of it's probably a moral panic hysteria based on the threat to most people. To most people, it's a mild flu. Or
No.
they're like asymmetric. Right. Well, I think if
Have
you
you,
essential vitamins,
dude? Have you not known people that had it?
I've known a few people that tangentially that have got it. I know somebody that has died from it, but I also know that he was in very, very bad health. You know, he was somebody that was probably likely not going to make it from that. And that's the thing, we have to find a way to protect the most vulnerable. I mean, even my own family is in that category. You know, my dad, I don't even think is going to be able to get the vaccine. He's so compromised. He was supposed to have stem cell replacement treatment before this thing got released, and now it's just too dangerous to even do it. So, you know, it's like, yeah. And I don't know, like the cost of the lockdown, the cost of the psychological trauma of the mask, all that shit is going to be outweighed.
There is no cost if we pay everybody to stay home, watch OnlyFans, and play video games.
Right. Well, and you know, that sounds like a jolly good time to me, but I'm saying Pelosi had an opportunity.
It is, isn't it?
Well, Pelosi had an opportunity to get twice what she's asking for now, but didn't want to give Trump a win before the election. Talk about withholding aid for the American people. You want to impeach Trump over withholding aid from Ukraine, but it's like withholding aid for the American people is Nancy Pelosi just to not give Trump a win before the election. We should have had $1,200 then 6 months ago. I'd have bet with my roommate. He thought we were going to get that shit back in like September or some shit. I was like, we're not going to happen. Not going to happen. The political establishment is so fucked right now. It's so fucked.
I'm on video saying that I figured we'd get the 1,200 before the election.
Did you?
You're correct about Nancy Pelosi.
And well, that's the thing. Most of my predictions have turned out correct. The one I didn't. Oh, I even got this election right. If you go back and watch my election special, right before that aired right before the election, I said that.
So you voted for Trump, but you knew Biden was going to win.
I was pretty sure that. Well, basically, I thought that based on the metrics, Trump should win in a landslide. But I knew based on the mail-in voting, I knew based on the online text censorship, I knew based on these metrics, the Google subliminal manipulation, as reported by Harvard scientist, doctor in behavioral science, Robert Epstein. You know, tens of millions of votes potentially shifting subliminally without even people's knowledge. You know, that's going to be very hard to overcome. So and that's kind of how it played out. You know, I haven't really had to reframe at all.
That never happened.
It's been rolling, dude.
Man, I want to go back to this tech censorship thing, man. It's just
yeah.
It's corporations.
Yeah, you
hit the nail on the head with it. It's corporations wanting you to be completely whitewashed for advertisers, so that any of your content that's on YouTube is advertiser friendly.
And that's my thesis.
It's capitalism,
basically. Yeah. But is that capitalism or is that crony capitalism and fascism? That seems to me it's more fascism because it's collusion between the state and the corporation.
That's what capitalism leads to.
But that's what socialism leads to.
It's not a collusion with the state. It's a big tech company saying, like, we make the rules because you're on their platform. They host your content.
Right, but if you just change the name of Twitter to the United States of Twitter, you know, it doesn't change the fact that Twitter's still going to act like Twitter.
So you would be for the nationalization of Twitter?
I don't know if I would be or not because I don't know. I honestly don't know. That it's going to be a hard problem to solve. Honestly, I just want there to be reform to where it's against the law for them to censor anybody for anything that's legal in the United States if they're an American. You know, if they're in other countries that don't have our rights, our God-given rights, then I'm cool with them censoring them because they're idiots for not securing their rights. But I'm not going to let these rights that like my grandparents died for to just die into these fucking tech overlords because I'm so afraid of Trump. You know, I'm so afraid of the boogeyman that they put out there for me to like dangle that carrot so that I'd be distracted and wouldn't see what they're up to.
They're not stepping on your rights. They're a private company that you have to agree to their terms in order to be hosted on their platform.
But they're colluding with government, and they have a de facto monopoly that should be broken up. You know, as long as you're the public square, you shouldn't be allowed to censor the public square in the United States. You know, as long as they have that role in our society as they do right now in that power. You know, with great power comes great responsibility, and they don't get to just censor American people just because they don't like what they have to say.
So you think they should be regular? You're on the left, dude.
Well, I've never said that I wasn't. And the thing is, I'm on both, depending on what the issue is, or what the argument is, and whether. Yes, I try to treat things very individually. I'm definitely an individualist. I'm not a collectivist at all.
Everything you say on Parler is very right-wing nonsense propaganda.
You might see it that way. I see it.
It definitely is that way.
But to me, it's just like speaking obvious truth. So that maybe like people on the left just aren't in the right frame or bubble to understand, just because they haven't seen what I've seen. But I worry about I would love the Democratic Party to become something that I could vote for again. Nothing would make me happier. If you had like a populist revolution on the left, it would make me so happy. I'd be over there so fast. And
so if Bernie had been the nominee, you would have voted for Bernie?
No, I wouldn't, just because I don't believe he wanted to win. If I thought that he actually wanted to win, and if I believed in his prescription, I would. But again, it's like a fool me once. He fooled me the first time. I loved Bernie at first. That was like back in 2012 or some shit. There's definitely like way back or maybe it's 2008 when he ran against Obama. I probably supported Bernie then. But actually, I still voted for Trump or not Trump. I still voted for Obama in the presidential. Just because I liked him. He was a very good linguist. Obama is very good at selling you the opposite of what you think you're getting. He's very good. He's a very good presentation. He's kind of like how Trump is to the right, he is to the left. He's very good at convincing the left that he's on their side, when in fact he's probably not.
He ran as a populist, and he did not deliver at all.
No, he did not. And that's why, basically when he extended the tax cuts for the rich, that's when I left the Democratic Party. That was the last straw for me. And he didn't get the public option for the health care. And at that point, I was no longer a leftist. I went to Ron Paul.
But so,
right then.
Because of some bad policy, you went with the Republican Party, which is even worse policy. This extreme wealth tax cut in 2017.
That assumes that they have worse policies, but politics is an Orwellian paradox. And just because people say they're on your team doesn't mean they're actually on your team. And it turns out sometimes the people that claim to be most on your team are actually the people working hardest against you. Because anytime people have a financial interest in solving a societal problem, you have to suspect that they might not be working fully to solve that problem, because that ends their job. If they actually solved if the left actually solved anything, what would they have to do? It's what's this utopia that they're constantly trying to bring us towards? And it's the best intentions lead to.
It's not about a utopia, man. This is going to be the third time in my lifetime that the Democrats are going to step in and fix the economy after the Republicans fucked it up.
Well, Trump had a great economy before COVID,
because of Obama.
What's that? Well,
it was because of Obama, and it was being artificially inflated by the Fed.
Or it was due to Donald Trump relaxing regulations that allowed the engines of commerce and industry to continue, and manufacturing to continue in the United States, and incentivize people and create new trade deals. And
what manufacturing?
Joe Biden was supported NAFTA. Exactly. Do you think that the USMCA is better than NAFTA or worse?
Marginally. I did a whole piece about it. It was like the Brookings Institute.
Right.
Did a whole breakdown on it.
Yeah, so it might be marginally better, but I don't know. But at least, again, he's signaling to a blue collar mentality that I resonate with. I spent half my life.
He has golden toilets, motherfucker. This is not signaling to blue collar.
Right. But what does that say about the Democratic Party, that he is more able to capture the imaginations of the working class than the Democratic Party, who should be more aligned with their interests? And the thing is, I want the Democratic Party to get more aligned with their interests. But another thing,
I'm with you.
It's just make moves. The leftism leads to paralysis, where you're not being productive. It's you gotta take personal responsibility and go out and make moves yourself. None of these politicians are gonna solve your problems for you. Trump is not a magic bullet that's gonna save my life in some way, or Joe Biden's not gonna make anything inherently better. It's up to us to make things better for ourselves, and on a local level, politics.
But we're seeing right now with the pandemic, all the ways that a government is responsible for several things. It's like if they had paid everybody to stay home and watch OnlyFans and jack off at the beginning of this, we'd already be, back to some semblance of normal.
Right. Well, but that's the economic.
The economy wouldn't have took such a hit.
That money to do it. Like, is your answer just to like make the money printers go burr 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 until we turn into Zimbabwe, where like we just got,
we print our own currency.
Yeah, no, it becomes.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, it becomes worthless. That's the problem. Like, as soon as what makes money valuable is the scarcity. As soon as it becomes not scarce, it's no longer valuable. Like, unless it's.
I agree with that, but like in our currency, debt is money. Like our money is basically the debt that we owe to the Federal Reserve.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean
we just owe ourselves. It's fiat. It makes no sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fiat currency. That's a big issue for sure. Like on the economic front, for sure. Like we definitely need to have something that backs up our money, other than like threatening people with the point of a gun. That right now we just like abandoned actual hard tangible currency, or just like threatening people to either trade petro and U.S. dollars or face the consequences.
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because they could totally give everybody $2,000 a month easily, and it's like what the Pentagon spends in a fucking day.
Right, well, that's true. Well, then the military-industrial complex is a huge problem, and they are aligned firmly behind Joe Biden. They were definitely...
You're on the left!
No, the military-industrial complex was definitely...
Well, they did their best to try to use Trump.
Yeah, you're right, and Trump was a fool. I think Trump's heart was in the right place on a lot of that, and at least he was signaling the right thing.
No. Because all these peace deals and shit, like with the UAE, that was just to fucking sell them bombers and stuff.
Well, we just got another one too, right? Well, and what about when Trump looked the other way for the Khashoggi murders, or the Khashoggi torture, so that he could use that as a bargaining chip to get those peace deals? It's shady how like global politics works, but we're dealing with the most ruthless madmen in the world. I'd rather have like a fucking shark like Trump up there than like a defended goon.
Trump's not a shark. What? You made the argument against him.
Well, I think from a business perspective and a logic perspective, I think he's great at dealing with people. He's just not good at dealing with viruses. He's not the president you want for a pandemic, but he is the president you want for dealing with China or dealing with dictators. Or you need somebody to be a symbol of strength. Peace through strength. It's real. Peace through strength. Peace through strength.
This is why you're sitting there with clown hair on. No, he sucked the dick of
maybe
fucking.
Have a difference of why is that ridiculous? Why is that ridiculous?
He sucked the dick of Kim Jong-un. Vladimir Putin.
Kim Jong-un, you're right, and now we don't have those missile warnings that were going off all the goddamn time. Again, like, sometimes you gotta placate these people so that you can get out of this shit.
They have been testing missiles.
But again, like, the
and I don't remember missile warnings going off all the time. Was that something that existed, or was that something that's just in right-wingers' heads? Like missile warnings from North Korea, was that a thing that we actually had?
Yeah, that was definitely a thing. We were having like those missile launch tests going over Japan like all the time, like leading up to the Trump election, and then it kind of like halted up. At least it quieted down, but maybe that's because Kim Jong-un actually died and his sister's in charge of. God knows what's going on there.
He might have a couple of years ago or a year ago or something like that.
Right, he apparently had some medical situations. Like they accidentally put me in charge of his medical procedure, and I dropped my clown shoes in there. Not bad, guys. Not bad. But yeah, the left loves Iran. They're going to give them like a bunch of money on pallets. They're going to make these peace deals, and Trump's just going to take out like their top people.
The money to Iran was just unfreezing their money, right?
Right, but that still gives them power to create terrorism, right?
Well, it's their money.
But we had sanctioned.
We had froze their money
by regulation. Well, right, because they which was seized. I guess because they violated our laws in some way.
Well, I don't know why it was. That's why we did the Iran peace deal. We were like, all right, here's the framework. You abide by this. We'll unfreeze your. Because we don't want to go tit for tat on like shady deals. Because you just mentioned a couple that Trump did.
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, shady deals that's the name of the game, right? Have we not learned that? Like, that's clearly what these people are engaged in, shady deals.
But do you think that that's going to be worse under Biden than it is Trump?
I think it will, yeah, just because I think the corporate establishment is back fully in totalitarian control as they were under Obama. Like, the media is just afraid to criticize Joe Biden just as they were afraid to criticize Obama, and just because they feel like it's their responsibility to protect them. And that's
people criticized Obama all the time. What are you talking about, afraid to criticize Obama? This is another thing, man. I wonder about right-wingers.
Who on the left was criticizing Obama?
I did all day long.
Oh, well, and that's the thing. You're an independent content creator, and I respect you for that.
But like, people criticized Obama constantly, and even the MSNBCs and the CNNs went along with the bullshit.
But there wasn't
tan suit.
Why he was built? I mean, you had the kids at the cages at the border. You had like all these things that the drone bomb strikes, the hitting the weddings, the killing American citizens with drone. There's a lot running guns to Mexico. Like, so much shady shit was going on. Using the IRS to spy on their political opponents, or using the fraud. There are some shady shit. These people, it's power. If you got an opportunity to hold on to power, people are going to do it. And that's why I know for sure the election was a fraud. But I think Trump probably cheated too. I don't.
What? It was like Trump is the one that's gone to every different length to try to hold on to power. He's afraid of being prosecuted.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think anybody that's been president is afraid of being prosecuted. Like, who was the last president that wasn't afraid to be prosecuted? They're all guilty of something. Something horrible. And usually they just get pardoned by the next person, just even if it's not official. They just don't go after them because they don't want somebody to go after them. But they wouldn't even be president, I don't think, if they weren't trying to cover high crime. Like, that's like the main reason to run for president, isn't it not?
I don't think so. What?
Yeah,
I don't exactly know what you're talking about, because like, if you want to make an argument that our presidents have committed war crimes and need to be held at the Hague.
All presidents commit war crimes. Kind of comes with the territory, fortunately. And that's because of the military-industrial control over our establishment government. Like, nobody in government, they're afraid of the tech people, and they're afraid of the military people, and they're afraid of Wall Street. And that's the triumvirate that aligned itself behind Biden to stop Trump. And Trump was at least a beachhead against that shit for some populist movement.
Tech people are like a relatively new phenomenon.
I know.
Go back 20 years and they didn't really have any power.
Right, but they're the richest people in the world now, right? And their campaign contributions are worth trillions. That's the biggest crime in history, in my opinion. The social media censorship, all that. That's billions of dollars in in-kind campaign contributions to the Democratic Party.
So you would be with me for public financing of campaigns?
Oh, for sure. Oh, dude, Citizens United is a goddamn disaster, dude. I mean, we're like, I don't know, dude. Corporations are people. That's retarded. Again, like, I'm not for stupid capitalism. I'm for like the lowest level of capitalism possible.
You're on the left.
Well, I might be. Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of divided, and that's why I'm in this clown world where I kind of coexist. I'm a half Christian, half Jew, so I feel like there's a lot of wedges. Men versus women. So the men's side of me pushes me to the right. The Christian side pushes me to the right. The Jewish side pushes me to the left. But again, like, I think there's a lot of Jewish people on the right too, because we recognize the fascism, the Nazi tactics that are in the totalitarian establishment right now, and it scares the shit out of us.
You're referring to the left when you say fascist totalitarian tactics, right?
No, I'm referring to the collusion between the right and left in the establishment. I think there's no separation between the right and left establishment in my mind. The Mitch McConnells of the world are just the same as the Nancy Pelosi of the world. They're on the same team. It's those people versus us is how I see it. And Trump, I don't even know if he was for us ever. He's probably just a con man. But again,
yes. There you go.
He at least signaled some of the right things, though. He at least signaled, and he made people aware of some of the threats they face, such as the totalitarian fake news media, which is true. You talk about how many lies Trump told. Well, how many lies were told about Trump? That's in the hundreds of millions, dude. It's crazy.
No.
There's no independent journalism anymore. It's just like,
give me your top lie. What's your top lie about Trump?
lie about Trump? Oh, good. Fine people hoax, obviously. Joe Biden started his whole campaign on the fine people hoax, even though there was like a small rally of tiki torch waving Nazi crazy looking motherfuckers. Like one day, there
was a Nazi rally.
Organized by, the Unite the Right rally was organized by a Jewish person, and it was just to protect statues, and that lots of mainstream Republicans came out, and a lot of those old people were assaulted by Antifa violent black bloc communists, and those people getting hit in the head with bike locks and shit like that. And again, there were, the only fine people I saw were on the right at Charlottesville. So to me, like, that lie has labeled half the country Nazis and racist, and there's no way to unify that group of the party.
No, that was a Nazi rally,
them all
dude.
Nazis. I mean, very fine people. Right after he had just condemned all the Nazis and white supremacists. He condemns all the white Nazis and white supremacists, and then he says, but there were some fine people on both sides, and then they used that.
That was a totally Nazi rally.
It was not a Nazi rally. It was organized by a Jewish boy whose life was ruined, and he was kicked off Facebook subsequently. I was on the ground for all that shit, dude. It was like there were some people in that crazy.
Why were you at the Nazi rally?
No, the Nazi rally people hijacked the mainstream right. It was a Unite the Right rally. It was like people from all sides of the right.
It was organized by fucking that bald guy, the fucking crying dude, and then the Heimlich.
I was friends with the Jewish kid that ran that shit, and his life.
The dude with the brown hair, something like he ended up being his wife or something.
They tried to co-opt that shit, but it was like 99% of the people.
It was a Nazi rally.
We're not Nazis. They were not Nazis. And
Kessler, that was his name, Jason Kessler.
The more the left labels those people Nazis, the more middle
Thank
America
you, Ninja.
is going to think that the left wants them dead. Because calling somebody a Nazi or calling somebody racist is basically a call to it's okay to commit violence against them.
Stop acting like Nazis and racists. You won't get called Nazis and racists.
Well, I can define you a Nazi and racist. It's okay to hit you now. That's the thing. Like, oh, Nazi, it's a Nazi.
What about me? There's nothing about me that I'm Nazi-ish about.
Well, if you think you shoot somebody because they got a MAGA hat on it because that makes them a Nazi, you're murdering somebody in the street. You think that's justified. That's
a straw man. Who in the world is condoning that?
Well,
I had the dude with the MAGA hat on my show, and you're going to try to tell me that...
I think everybody that doesn't see the mob violence and the bullyocracy intimidation tactics of BLM and Antifa and how that impacted the election and how you just, try to cuck people into just through coercion to accept your ideology and that narrative, it's like that people aren't going to...
They wanted accountability for cops.
Right, and everybody did. And I think that we missed a beautiful opportunity to unite around eliminating no-knock raids, which are fucking retarded. Like, you get yourself a warrant, show up, knock, see if anybody's there, just, control the situation, but you don't have to fucking knock.
It's not just no-knock warrants. It's a whole lot of things.
But again, like, everybody the left put up as a martyr upon further evidence. It looked like they were like the most trash humans ever. It's like, if you have a 6-year-old daughter and you're just out there on crank, like ODing on fucking meth and shit, dude, it's like, man, like, I got no respect for those people. I don't have any respect for that when you're resisting arrest.
Oh, you just made up some caricature.
So friendly. Like if you be a police officer in Minneapolis with 90% rise in murder right now, dude. Like anybody doing that job has got my respect. Like fuck that.
I don't. Also, okay. First of all,
I would never want to be a police officer there. Fuck that.
You know that it was right wingers that burnt down the Minneapolis precinct, right?
Well, it may have been. Yeah, there's always instigators.
It was.
The problem is that you give those people the cover by showing the presence out there at all, though. Like that's the thing. They're gonna hide under that black bloc. Everybody's got masks on. You don't know who they are. We don't know who those motherfuckers were. They could have been radical right wingers. They could have been, leftist instigators. Like we really don't know. But
they were right wing instigators, which usually it is right wing instigators. The perpetrators of most of the political violence in this country is right wing.
Oh no, that's
according to the
totally
FBI.
Disagree with that. Yeah, right. Exactly, the most trusted organization known to man.
You got me there.
Definitely dissolve the FBI. I say, fuck them. But yeah, again, the people on the right, when they hear that shit, it sounds like gaslighting because to us we see just countless videos of just these citizens on the street getting beat in the head with 2x4s, just getting like kicked in the face because they, we're seen as being on the wrong side or whatever. And there's months of this happening all across the country, and people get terrorized by that.
No, it's not.
People that submit to it, and then you have the people like me that are not going to back down to the threats of violence.
I've got such a problem with right wingers just like making up shit.
But I don't.
And like, oh, this is happening all over the country.
My show has literally been a documentation of those videos for the past year. It's all I've been compiling the research project. Today you can go watch those shows. Like, if you watch my videos, you will see countless examples of how black communists in the street have been violently assaulting citizens, basically for just expressing their political beliefs. Like, I would be too afraid. I would literally be too afraid to walk out in the streets of Nashville.
Oh,
no
you know what a black bloc is? That's
right. That's what Antifa is. Yeah.
You're
and just because you call yourself anti-fascist doesn't mean that you're not the real fascist in the room. I'm the anti-fascist and Antifa's the fascist, and I'm just trying to make everybody aware of that Orwellian concept right there. And just because you call yourself Black Lives Matter doesn't mean you speak for all black people, which was evident by how much black support Trump got relative to every other Republican in recent history. Resonating.
Once again, you are far more well-spoken than the content of your videos led me to believe.
I apologize for that. I'll try to dumb it down a little bit.
No, why are you not elevating your content?
But I feel like this is the highest content. That's the pinnacle. The clown. Basically not caring what people.
You're not trying to speak to an audience that's intelligent.
Well, I'm trying to speak to people that are like me, and I think there's more of them out there than the left would like to believe. I think that I might.
Oh no! I know how many people there are out there.
Right, and I'm trying to be a mouthpiece for those people, so that people on the left can more easily digest them, because I'm a little bit more easily digestible than a lot of people on the right.
I don't know that that's true.
It might not be. That was a bold claim. I knew I was trying to get away with one there. Yeah, I'll give you that. Point Justin. Up on the board. For the civic good.
All right, man. It's a Friday night. I'm going to get out of here.
Beautiful, man. Thank you for letting me talk your ear off on this shit, dude. I went out there. I kept it real.
No, I've enjoyed this. I still haven't quite figured you out, man.
Good. If you do, then I'll quit. When you figure it out.
Freddie Fresh Castle, plug your shit, man.
Woo. Yeah, so check me out at PoliticsFish on YouTube, BitChute, or Rumble. I'm at the left to right free speech music.
But man, BitChute, Rumble, Parler, they all suck.
Yeah, these are facts. But right now I'm just trying to get out and diversify as much as possible right now. Just fuck it, just in case I get banned from YouTube, and which might happen at any moment. Then at least there's a documentation record that exists and continues on. So I'm really just trying to bog down YouTube servers with my fucking massive video files. Just trying to if I can just be the stick in their spokes for just a sec. I feel like I've done it for the civic good. But yeah, guess that does it. I'm out.
Thank you, Freddie Fresh Castle. It was a pleasure. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin FREAKIN.
Work well done.
We'll see you next week
Make moves.
on the Troll Patrol.